Mark T. Musick. I'm judge of the Jackson County Municipal Court, and we operate a drug court division, which I think is some of what we're going to talk about today here in Jackson, Ohio.
Beautiful. Well, thanks so much for taking time out of your, I'm sure, very busy schedule to join us. Can you start off by sharing a little bit about how you got into becoming a drug court judge?
Well, I was pretty happy being a practicing lawyer in Jackson County and had been so for 21 years. And I felt compelled to run for the judgeship at that time. And in running, I just took the things from my practice, and I noted from the late 90s until 2007 that there'd been a buildup in drug-related problems. There'd always been drug-related problems since I started practice, and nevertheless, it was building. Even through 2007, through election year, I did not anticipate what would come after 2008. 2008 was my first year on the bench, and we had a relatively normal year in terms of the early 2000s. We were able to cut the jail population down greatly and just use it for the people that needed it. We don't have enough jail today for people that need to be in jail. At any rate, the thing escalated very quickly. In my agenda or my platform, I had hammered away at 4 things in the election. And one of those things, by the way, I did them all, and people will tell you I did them all, but one of those things was to establish a drug court. And I thought, well, now this can come when everything else is set up, and I had put it on the boards for like 2010. I wanted to be up there a couple of years and have everything running just right to set that in motion. Well, in 2008, things were getting more and more out of control every month. By 2009, to put it frankly, the bodies were dropping so fast here that I knew we had to do something, so I took everything out of the barrel or out of the closet and threw it at the problem, and drug court was one of them, and it turned out to be a main tool.
So how does somebody qualify to become a member of drug court?
Oh, there's so many ways you can get in. Of course, you have to have a charge out there that's hanging fire. With us, years ago, the prosecutor at that time and the current prosecutor agrees, you have a charge that is hanging over you. Well, we decided to become a post-adjudicatory drug court, meaning that we want to convict you and get you on our probation and put our probation department in charge of you. See, besides all this stuff for drug court, you got to report to probation too. And so I've got 4 officers and a social service officer down there and a secretary, and they keep track of everything you do. And so if you're having a hard time, they might make you report every week. Otherwise, you're on a normal reporting schedule. You report during 1 week, the first week of each month. If you have a hard time getting there in office hours, they make individual arrangements for remote reporting by phone or email, or both. They want to make sure you're functioning, and they do occasional house visits, and we do testing. And I have one agency, I said, look, I'll let you guys in. All I want's testing. And once they get in the scheme of things and everybody's comfortable with them, everybody gets in the rhythm and follows through. When we started that one agency recently, that extra agency, well, why have I got to do this? Because they just came to the table when I want to do it. So testing's not going to hurt you. We're not going to rob you of all your bodily fluids. You can replenish.
Right. Yes, that's for sure. Drink some water. So as far as that charge, is it only felonies or misdemeanors and felonies?
That's interesting. We have a primary emphasis, of course, is on misdemeanors. And by the way, the prosecutor agrees. When you finish our drug court program, we will do everything we can to get your case dismissed, terminate your probation. My probation is 5 years for everybody. When I first came in office, everybody was just giving me down the road 5 years probation for an OVI. Let me get to know you. You're going to go out and get another one. But
And by the way, once somebody has been sober for 5 years, that's long-term recovery.
that is,
Yes.
we know.
That's a good number to pick.
We try to do 5-year follow-ups, and anyhow, no, I terminate probation early when it's earned and merited, but for a drug court person, they can make everything go away in just a little over 2 years. They do the 1.5-year drug court program, then we do a 6-month program where you kind of fly on your own, but there's kind of an umbilical. It's called Senior Drug Court, and that's run at a separate location by one of our agencies, and we're transitioning now because one of the agencies, the old-time agency that ran it, they went out of business. The ownership got retired and all, but Hopewell is taking that over for us and going to run it out at Holzer Hospital with our graduating seniors. And so he's got a good group there. Yeah.
So misdemeanors and some like low-level felonies?
Well, yeah, the felonies, what happens is we will spot someone who's right for the program, but they have, let's say, a felony of the 4th or 5th degree. You really don't have, and we've not had success with anything at 3 or above. But so generally you're 4s and 5s, but it's
and could you give us a couple examples of 4s and 5s?
4s would be like just a regular theft of $1,000 or more.
Okay.
A 5 would be breaking into that garage over there.
How about things like possession?
Possession of some drug. Yeah, in the drug family, lots of 4s and 5s.
Okay.
Lots of 4s and 5s. Things are changing right now because of fentanyl, and maybe they should. But your typical possession of heroin, I'm seeing F5s, and typically they want to convert those to M1s anyway.
Okay.
But let's say the person has been there 2 or 3 times, and so now it's real close. So a lot of times the prosecutor will say, all right, well, what we'll do is we're going to freeze this baby in drug court, in special dockets. They're going to waive their time for everything. They're going to give us a statement of guilt. Their attorney has to help them. We have a drug court counsel appointed for anybody that doesn't have a lawyer, but we prepare, it's like a diversion packet, and we hold that thing there. Now, if we prefer, if it's multi-count, we might take one of those counts and go ahead and reduce one to misdemeanor. We like to have that person on our paper, our probation, so that the probation department has authority over them. Probation authority is stronger than a mere bond authority, so that's important. So I think we had one fellow come through on 4 F4s, and what we did is take the A case and we made a misdemeanor 1 out of it, suspended the other 3. Now the thing, the best laid plans, I know I went over with Supreme Court's all emphasis now on good housekeeping. So I got my Supreme Court report, and hey, Judge, you're kind of messing up on your felony reports. Well, I only process felonies over to the common pleas court. It's what I do, or I discharge the person if there's no grounds. But I have these suspended cases. There's really no setup for that. And I've talked with the person at case management, and she laughed and she says, yes, you special docket guys have this problem, because evidently I'm not the one. It's like I tell one of our newspaper guys asked me several years ago, Mark, how do you come up with this stuff? And I'm not blazing new trails. I'm taking stuff I've learned from practicing around Ohio in reading about what other things are, and I just try to bring the best stuff here. Yeah. I'd say very little of the stuff I do is original, but we try to take should I admit that on film?
Yeah.
But it's true.
Yeah.
I don't know that some of us lawyers are the most creative at inventing, but when we see something that works, we kind of know how something works, and if we see it benefiting people, we ought to grab onto it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's really commendable to be able to say, I want to do the best for my community, and I'm going to beg, borrow, and steal from any place I can to be able to make it work here.
Yes.
So that's beautiful. So with, the work that you're doing is fantastic, and it makes such a difference in so many people's lives. So could you share a couple of experiences or stories, one that, maybe that wasn't successful and why it just didn't work, and then we'll get into some of the good stuff?
Well, one that wasn't successful.
And why and what happened?
I think sometimes we'll try people in the drug court and other programs, other intensive programs, that just doesn't succeed. Maybe because or perhaps could be different reasons. One of the big ones is the individual's just not ready yet. Just not ready. One of the speakers at last night's Celebrate Recovery session at Hope Center was an older man who had lost a son and other relatives to the pandemic or epidemic, and he said he feels like his son's problem was he was always going to get better, but he's going to do it tomorrow, always putting it off. And I think there's some of that. What I see, and I really, had I not come down here today, I would have pulled an individual guy out of the jail, and I want to talk to him, because some of these guys with me are years of projects. This one guy represents years, and I remember I've waited 10 years to be able to speak plainly, to get my hands on him, because I knew, based on what probation reports and other people's cases, this guy's messing up. And this guy looks like he's intelligent and energetic and worth saving, but just wasting life, in my humble opinion, with criminality and so on. So got him, and we had a good first round of treatment. I laid him out in jail for a while. Sometimes I just put him on hold. And I met this guy in the tunnel. I was going over to the sheriff's office, and he was coming over to probation with escorts. And he said, Judge, I want to talk to you. And he'd been there about 6 weeks. And I said, how you doing? And he said, I woke up Sunday. Oh, yeah? You woke up this morning, too? He said, but I really woke up Sunday. And I'd been there about 6 weeks, and I like, okay, wait a minute. The judge and the team, they're not trying to hurt me, they're trying to help me. I was in such a cloud, such a fog of so many years. I just woke up Sunday after 6 weeks. And he said, you know what? And I said, what, buddy? And he said, I'm going to stay here as long as you want me to. I'll go wherever you want me to go, and I'll do whatever you tell me to do. Okay, so we followed through. And we put him, he was such a degree of impairment that we wanted to put him in in-house rehab first. Now, that's what he really needed. He was too all over the place to be on street level drug court yet. So we put him in a fine group that we work with at another location, and about a 6 to 9 month program, and came out just beautiful.
So we talked about, sometimes if somebody's not successful and sometimes.
Well, with this young man, I mean, he's back in jail again, and I'm, planning on pulling him out yet today. And are you tired of being miserable? Do you want to live yet? I mean, I have typical questions I ask. Are you ready now?
Right.
And of course, some of them assure you in varying degrees. But, I've done this a while now. I'm a little bit of a hard sell. I'm not total hard sell, but I give everybody a chance.
Yeah, right.
Or you know what? You really never run out of chances. As you prove after so many failures, if you prove yourself a little bit, we'll give you some resources, and then prove yourself some more, we'll give you more resources, and we'll work with people. I have a really good team. They are a perfect mix between police officer and social worker. And I can't tell you the percentage, it varies, but they're very tough. I mean, they will kick your door in. I have my chief of probation is so good. Before he was chief, the old chief that retired, they were on a house call, and they had reason to go in the home. I think that the individual in there was near death, threatening death, near death, and so that young man, that officer on our team, it was a mobile home, and out of frustration, he reached at the bottom of the door to the mobile home. We've got pictures of this. It's in the paper. and he literally peeled the door off of the mobile home like a can opener.
Oh my goodness.
And they made entry, and they saved the guy.
Right.
Took a gun out of there, and dope and drugs and needles and the whole 9 yards.
So those are the tough cases, and you know the difficult ones. Could you share some successful completions and that process?
Sure.
That's the good stuff.
Well, one thing I noticed about Jackson County, Ohio, and one of the things that always upset me about the numbers and the reporting was I knew, having been a criminal defense attorney, an active one, I knew that our numbers were not right. For example, I felt our death rate was running 1 for 1 with Scioto County, which is 2.5, 3 times bigger than us.
Wow.
That is more of a media center. That Portsmouth gets all the West Virginia coverage, and we get nothing. We're like a little bedroom community because we're 33,000 people. I don't know, but I felt like our death was running 1 for 1. And just from my observations, and I mean, nobody was listening to us, but that and the number of syringe cases tell it all. And I've had people come to the podium and say, well, Judge, you see the charges, you know the whole story. And yes, I do. I already know.
Yep.
And I like working with realistic people like that, because that guy's ready to come in and address the issues.
So is there one story that sticks out that, you know, a person that came in that you know is, because you've been doing this for a while?
There's so many stories. They're just
pick a couple.
I don't know. We have partners in other parts of the country, because I started to tell you, it's so toxic here. I mean, I really feel it's been worse than Scioto County. Probably worse than downtown Cuyahoga. I started offering an alternative. I had very good friends who shipped their son out to another part of the country to live with grandparents because of his addiction. And they recognized the local toxicity of things in Ohio and in this part of the country. And so he goes down there, and the first night he gets in trouble. So Grandpa and Dad call me and help us figure out what lawyer to get down here in this city. And I said, well, I could, but what I want you to do is go to a knowledgeable public defender who knows what they're doing, and find someone who's had experience in placing young people in residential treatment. Well, of course, they went knocking, and they found just the right stuff. And they found this beautiful place. Their young man went through the program, loved it, assimilated onto staff, went to college, now works in the human resources department of this very large 3-county big rehab. It's kind of like that part of the country's United Way.
Okay.
And they do a little bit of everything, but they have a male and a female unit for recovery that's just beautiful.
So he was able to find his way in by getting treatment and support.
Yes.
And
so I thought sometime later, I wonder if it would work for this other person. So we sent number 2 down. Worked great for the other person. And of course we had our first guy down there to kind of help guide. And then all of a sudden we had a second guy. So we sent a third guy, and a fourth guy, a fifth guy. And then our friends, our allies, they might have made a strategic mistake, but some of our people did so well, they selected one to be the intake officer down there. The guy from Wellston, Ohio. I was flying down 4 or 5 a month.
Wow.
$45 a ticket for a one-way ticket. You know, we can afford that from our special projects.
Right.
And we honestly sent those young people to get help. And they did. They embraced it. I have a guy, even if I use his alias, which I will, they call him Dead Guy.
Okay.
Dead Guy is almost famous around Jackson County in his age group. Of course, he's getting a little older now, so the young guys don't recognize the name as well. Sometimes I get Dead Guy on the conference call right in the court at the bench, and I say, Dead Guy, talk to this guy. And Dead Guy will tell you his story. for a good 9 or 10 years, I had tried to get Dead Guy to go to our other location in another state, in a whole other region of the country. And he, no, I declined. And one of our counselors with Hopewell, Dave Pack, is super gentleman, was in the jail. He works in the jail a lot. He came in the jail and he says, so Dead Guy, did you ever think about taking the judge up on his offer? And Dead Guy says, okay, Dave, I think I will. Dave's that persuasive. And so he goes down. And I'm just kind of hoping, So he likes it. He embraces it. He adapts to it. He really embraces it. And he becomes part of the fabric. And he's becomes associated with the mission. And he, going into third year, he learns a trade. He gets very good at the trade. He got so good at the trade, he tried to open his own shop and had to cease and desist for 6 months. They shut him down, the place he'd learned the trade. So then he got to have his side shop, but another place hired him. The kid makes $120-some thousand a year, just bought a beautiful home, married a gal who has been recovered for years from the female unit. They just had a baby. They've been sober for over 5 years each, well over 5 years. They're making money. They save money besides buying a house. They show me. We are so pleased for Dead Guy and Mrs. Dead Guy that I just can't say enough. That is an extreme success story. But there are other extreme success stories. We have them up here too, locally. There'll be people here tonight that come here every year. I think some of them might come just to let us know everything's okay.
And I appreciate the fact that that you recognize and you live by your word that sometimes it doesn't work the first time, but you do give second, third, fourth chances from what it sounds like. Right.
What's it cost?
Yes. Right.
What's it cost?
Because the alternative, we know what happens. Yeah. So prisons or death. So being able to do that and finding that you've said it so many times, and I appreciate the way in which you talk about recovery. That it the substance use disorder is out there, but you focus on the recovery, and that is just spectacular and so point on.
What else is there to focus on?
Right. Yeah.
So that's why I think I'm going to change the name of drug court if they'll let me. I think pretty soon we're going to start calling it Empowerment Court.
I love it. Love it.
And I think I heard that at a seminar being discussed one day, so I'm probably kind of stealing it, but I'm going to throw it out there.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that is fantastic. So I appreciate the work as a person in long-term recovery. I appreciate the work that you're doing for the community and the people. And not only are you helping with the individuals, but the families that you're reuniting and helping people get well. It's spectacular. So thank you so much.
It's so much fun. I don't ever want to quit.